Why did you decide to do Maybe I Should Have?
The documentary?
Yeah.
Just
because you were not a man of... it was your first documentary. You worked in theatre and...
Yeah, I worked in theatre and I was involved in... Yeah, I did some film work in the early years and I did some film during my profession. But mainly, the reason why we did this documentary is that I have a good friend, her name is Lilia. She's a woman who used to live in France but lives in Iceland now. She has a big heart for democratic things, and she was a little bit pissed off about the situation in Iceland, and she had a little money and she decided to put a little money into the film and said, okay, we can do this documentary, let's do it. Mm-hmm. And also before that I was the founder of what we call a civic forum movement in Iceland, which we held these meetings, big meetings where we got politicians to come and the public to have a debate with the politicians. And we formed a political party that got 4 members elected into the parliament. And
you were elected?
No. 4 other people. And everything like that. So in the end, it came up to be, what we're going to do next. And we thought, let's do a documentary about this, personal documentary, because, a lot of people are going to go bankrupt in Iceland, and have become bankrupt.
At the end, have you understood what really happened in
Iceland?
Yeah. And where the money is?
Where the money is?
Yeah.
No.
At first, what did happen and why the economy go down?
I don't know. What can you say happened in Iceland was that we thought, by liberating money and make money flow freely all over Europe from one country to another, we thought we could make everybody's life a lot more beautiful. But in reality, it didn't work like that. And very few got very rich in a very short time. We privatized banks in Iceland to friends and relatives of the government who owned the bank before, and it's the way. That's what happened actually. It has nothing to do with. It's not a natural thing or natural disaster. It's a man-made crisis.
You lost your car.
Yeah.
People lost money.
People lost a lot of money. People, mainly people lost their houses, like their flats and stuff, because of the inflation. And Andri can tell you more about that because he specializes in fighting the banks towards loans who had actually risen very high because of this crisis.
But there are no bankers in jail, no?
No, not yet.
And processed?
Prosecuted?
Yeah.
There have been a couple of guys who have been arrested and interrogated, but there has not been issued any indictment yet towards any of the bankers. So we still are waiting for that. But what we think in essence happened to the Icelandic economy and the world economy during this crisis is that people are saying, like Mr. Björgúlfur Thor in this film, a lot of money went to money heaven. It just simply disappeared. But this is not quite true, because the reason for this crisis around the world is that those people were creating money out of nothing by buying up companies and revaluing the companies by some bookkeeping tricks, and all of a sudden this company was bought for €1 million and all of a sudden it was worth €10 million, and then they used this fake price of the company as a collateral and took a loan from the bank for themselves. And the money from the bank was our money, which was being lent to the entrepreneurs like Mr. Björgúlfur Thor. And those are the money, he says, have been going to money heaven. But they didn't go to money heaven, they simply disappeared from our pocket into theirs. So this is the reason for the crisis all over the world. And this is what we are fighting now, to try to prevent this from happening again, because it seems to be it seems to happen, you know, almost with a 20 years period. We have some kind of a crisis where all your money are being taken and moved into the banks and the rich people's pocket.
And you ask for responsibilities from the bankers, and what do they demand them? Jail, prison?
What we demand from them?
Yes.
We
giving back the money, or
yeah, give back the money, because we are trying to find regulations and laws in Iceland which help us to deny repaying the debt for those people. If they go to prison, they go to prison. If they don't, they don't. That's not the main issue. The main issue is to get justice for all people, for us to being able to live our lives and keep our houses. That's the main issue. If they go to jail, they go to jail. If they don't, they don't. I don't care.
The main issue is to get the people who did some criminality acts or broke the law to pay for that by either going to jail or being prosecuted. But the biggest issue in this is to find ways to get the common people, as we can call them, or the taxpayers, the middle class or the working class in every country, to not to have always been paying for these guys and girls who are manipulating money all over the world and using our trust in just by benefiting themselves.
you have done 2 referendums, and every time the people they say they don't want to pay, no?
Mm-hmm.
How this will end?
That's just one issue, referendum. It's about the ISAF amount, you know, because in early 2007 they realized that they couldn't get any money more of Icelandic public or making more bubbles about the companies. They started to make accounts in UK and England,
Netherlands,
and UK and the Netherlands, sorry, and then promising people a lot higher interest rates than other banks and stuff. So people started to put their money into the banks, and those money, of course, disappeared and vanished. And those were actual money. Those were money of people who have been saving them for years, pensioners, people who got inheritance and stuff.
The things are now changing in Iceland. Things are going better.
yes, they are.
In a way.
After the, let's say, before both of the referendum about this ISAF dispute, the politicians and the bankers said, if we say no, Iceland will go bankrupt and we will be like Cuba or the North or something like that. We would be very poor and isolated from the rest of the world. But we still said no. 96% of the voters said no in the first referendum. And the second was a bit closer, it was 60-40, around 60% said no. And still, everything is going fine. Companies are being refinanced from abroad, banks are getting money from abroad, the state is getting loans from abroad if they need them, so everything is fine. This referendum and the answer we gave in this referendum, saying no, is a far bigger issue than just about the ISAF dispute, I think, because we showed the world that by saying no, we are not going to pay for the banks, you know, to make the state liable for the bank's debts, and nothing has collapsed by saying no. So we think in like Ireland and Greece and Spain and Portugal and all those countries which are over debt.
By the moment, nobody follows you.
Sorry?
By the moment, nobody says no in Spain or...
No, they are actually making a lot of effort to pay the creditors. You know, and what we should do, and what we did in Iceland, was to say no to the creditors. We're going to say no, we're not going to pay the debts of privatized banks. The public shouldn't pay. If you have a private company and you go bankrupt, why should the public pay? Because it's a bank, they say. And I said no, doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's just like if Gunnar goes bankrupt, I shouldn't have to pay for it. If I go bankrupt, Gunnar shouldn't have to pay for it. That's the issue. So it doesn't matter if it's a bank or if it's something else. if you look at Europe as a whole, all those problems rising in those countries mentioned before, so Greece, Portugal, Spain, Ireland, and Italy as well, all those problems are because the banks in those countries are having trouble repaying the banks in some other countries. It has nothing to do with the people of Greece or Spain or Portugal, nothing at all. The people haven't done anything wrong. They just keep on working, keep on living, keep on doing what they have been doing for the past 50 years.
Paying taxes.
Paying taxes. All of a sudden there's a banker who goes, off the cliff, and then the banker says, while he's falling down, please help me make the taxpayer pay my debts so I won't die. This is wrong. Let him fall. Let the bank fall.
But they say your money is in our banks. If we fall, you'll have no money.
Take them out.
Take them out.
It's the only way to do it. And another thing is that it's very strange in how we actually get them to actually fool us, because they want to privatize the profit. When it's a profit, they want to keep the profit. And then they fall, they want to nationalize the debts and make the people pay for the debts. Why don't we get the profit also? And they are paying bankers all over the world bonuses even today. In America, in 2009, they paid higher bonuses than in 2008, when the actual Lehman Brothers fell. They paid higher bonuses. I don't know.
And there's also another issue, because it's the same with the banks as with the terrorist action in after 9/11. The government and the banks, they want to keep you afraid that if you do something you will lose your money. But in Europe, in the European Union, you have a regulation about depositors' guarantee, and that's a minimum amount which is guaranteed for the depositors, so the depositors can actually trust the bank. What we found out in Iceland when we calculated the deposits, if this deposit guarantee would have been, just as it was thought to be from the European Union to start with,
20,000 euros.
20,000 euros per person. 96% of all the people would have gotten all their money from the banks. But by adding the extra 4% of the people to get all their money, we have to, I can't remember, quadruple the money in the deposits guarantee fund. So only the top 3 or 4% are going to lose some of their money if the banks fall. Not all the public isn't going to lose any money. This is the essence. We are always moving money from the public to some few people. This we have to stop. This is the simple fact.
And how do you think that we can stop that?
It's up to us. We are the coming people. We can do it by voting.
You vote.
Make political parties.
You say in your documentary that you will never vote anymore, no?
I said I won't vote for those people who got me into this mess ever again. I used to vote them. I used to give them my votes. But the main issue is that if people have to change this, and the only way to change this is that we, as the common taxpayers or whatever, working class, people who are working and just don't have anything to do with economics or whatever, we have to do what we can do, and that's by voting for the right people and fighting them on actually sometimes on their terms and sometimes on our terms, and mainly on our terms. And also we have to realize that I don't know why it is like that, but look at America. 95% of all the wealth in America belongs to 5% of the people who live there. And why is that? Why does it work like that? That's because the 94% of the people who don't have wealth, they are dreaming of becoming one of those 5%. And it's all about that. If we stop idolizing these things, if we stop saying, oh, he's very rich, he's a very nice guy, if we stop idolizing these things, if we start just concentrating on that money is all, or money is the only thing, we can change something.
Can we?
Yeah, we can.
There's a lot of people there in Catalonia Square asking for changing this, no? But the thing is that it seems difficult to find a way how to convert that cry into reality.
The difficult part is to get people to agree on very few things. We need to find 5 things that we want to fight for. We want to have our work. We want to have a place to stay, to live. We want to have, we want to be protected in our community. And we want to, a healthy system, and we want to take care of the elderly and the sick. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fight for those 5 things together. You can all agree on that. Skip everything else. Mm-hmm. Forget that you want to build a bridge over some place, or forget that you want to build a university somewhere. Just fight for these 5 simple things. Fight for few things with big values. And you will get a lot of people together, and you will get a lot of harmony in that.
This just works as any other business. If you have to find yourself a goal. The goal has to be achievable. And when people believe this goal you're fighting for is achievable, they will fight for it. And you will get more people to follow you. I think this is a problem all over the world. People are not so organized, and people haven't found their common goal. They always say, we want to change things. And when they are being asked, what do you want to change? Things. You have to be specific, like Gunnar said.
Mm-hmm.
This is the main problem, I think. All of the people here, all of the people are doing a good job in Catalonia and all over Spain. But they need a common goal.
And what we need to think about is that for the first time in a very long time, we have, or we need to change these things. We have the right time, we have the people, we have the courses, issues. We have the issues, and we have the means to fight them with, we have the internet, we have YouTube, we have all kinds of different things that we can use. Facebook, Twitter, N1, or whatever you call it. And what I say always, if you want to change something today, because I've never been involved in political things before the crisis in Iceland. I was just doing my job and living just my life, and I was not bothered about political people, and I didn't worry about the banks. I thought everything was fine. I believed in this system.
But you enter in politics, no? And and you obtain 4 deputies, but it doesn't work. It didn't work, no? Because there was some divisions, and the documentary says one go for his own way, the other 3 for another way, and it didn't work. It will work.
Yeah, but we make mistakes as everyone else. We do make mistakes, a lot of them sometimes. We're going to learn from them. We haven't done this before. We're going to learn from these mistakes, we're going to reorganize, we're going to come with a full force again in the next election. Plato, the guy, the Italian guy, who was up here about Greek. He's not from Italy, he's from Greek, sorry.
Greek philosopher.
A couple of thousand years ago, he said, if you don't want to be in politics,
if you don't participate in politics, you end up being governed by your inferiors. So this is exactly what's being done. The problem with our political movement, which got 4 deputies elected, 7.2% of the votes,
you were very happy that night. Huh?
Yeah, it was a huge victory. It was a huge victory. We could do it. But the problem was that we had, 2 or 3 months to organize before the elections, and we collected a lot of people, and when the elections was over, people found out they had completely different meanings about what to do. So people forgot to organize and find those 5 simple things to fight for.
Perhaps it's the problem here in the Catalonia Square and this
No, I don't think it's a problem. I just think we need to go to some kind of evolution in this, like everything else. We need to develop. We need to find the ways to do things. I think the people in the Catalonia Square and all over Spain are doing a great job. You know. They are standing up and fighting. They are doing magnificent things. You know, they're just common people. They want to stop this. And but we you know, my opinion on this is that if you can write about it, write articles. If you can sing songs about this. If you can shout about it. If you can talk about it. If you can act about it. If you can make a movie about it, make a movie about it. If you can make a play about it. Do everything that you can to issue changes, to get changes through.
Nobody sings songs about this revolution.
Remember
I don't know in Iceland, but here our songs talk about love and sex.
But let's not forget one thing. What's happened in Madrid and what happened here, I can't remember all the names of the cities. This got the media attention. This has been in the world news. So the start, you have gotten the start. Now people need to find out how to evolve this thing, how to make it, how to go to the next step. If you know you are fighting against a very, very organized system, and if you are going to fight against this very organized system, you have to be very organized yourself. So now you have gotten the media's attention. You can see what happens in Egypt, for example. They got the media attention, and the system in Egypt wasn't quite organized enough to fight this revolution, so to speak. So the media got on the wagon with the people, so Mubarak has to go away. This is what we have to do at home in Iceland. This is what you have to do here. When the media starts to follow you, not just to cover one story, they start to follow you, then this organized political banking system will have a big problem.
But do you think we can build another world without bankers and hedge funds and Wall Street?
I don't know anything about that. I'm not an economist.
You will have to change how these things work.
I don't know. I'm not a philosopher anyway, but still, I think we can do a lot better than we are doing today, and a lot easier. You know, it doesn't have to be. Why do you have to spend all your life paying for your house? It's ridiculous. You're spending most of your life trying to own a house. Why? You're spending an awful lot of time, money, effort just to own a house.
We need a new organization, but perhaps in this new organization, banks are not imprescindible.
In what?
Are not needed.
No, banks are needed. You need to have a bank
so
you can
many.
keep your money, and maybe you need a loan. You have an idea, you want to make a business, you need a loan. But what the banks are doing now, they are making extremely complicated financial products and selling them and reselling them, and the price is going up and down, and the price of wheat and oil and commodities all over the world is rising and falling because of some few guys doing business with speculative papers 10 years ahead. This is the problem. You have to reorganize, you have to restructure the banking system, because the banks, they aren't creating anything. Nothing at all. The reason for us having to repaying our house through all our lives is because so much of the money circulating in the economy is being left behind inside the banks. And that's because they are using too much of the money as a speculative business, so to speak.
How is the perfect Iceland you imagine possible? The perfect possible Iceland you imagine in a future not very far.
reformed politics and reformed banking sector. Those two things. We have, in Iceland, we are very lucky. We have a good economy. We have steady jobs for most of the people. We don't have the same big problems as unemployment of young people, like, for example, in Spain. So we have the fundamentals. What you call it?
We are a very rich country.
We are a rich country.
We have the natural resource. We have everything that we need to.
We shouldn't have to be in those problems. The public. So the dream is, reformed politics and reformed banking sectors. So the public is number one. The homes and the public.
And we have all these natural resources. We have all kinds of different ways of providing ourselves, and we are self-sustained.
I think you could do this all over the world.
But the main issue is that you see, if you want to make a change, you got to stand up. That's the main issue. You can't just sit in your work office and complain, or in your coffee house and complain with your friends. You got to stand up. You got to get involved. You
dedicate of your life to this work, no? You say
yes.
At the end of the
I've actually managed to do that, and I've managed to be involved in a lot of good things, both. But there are also a lot of good people in Iceland doing all kinds of different things. There are a lot of people protesting, in different groups, in different areas. People fighting for their issues. People trying to call out their problems to being solved. There are people fighting for the elderly people, for the sick people. There are people doing all kinds of good job in Iceland. But we have to bear that in mind that also, if we are going to change something, we got to do it step by step, and it's going to take a while. We got to realize that it's going to be very tiring in a way, also very pleasant in a way, but it's going to take a while. Mm-hmm. It's not going to happen in 1 or 2 or 3 years. It's going to take 2 or 3 elections to change the thing, and we got to keep on going. We got to keep on going.
We have to be patient.
Yeah.
No, not particularly. I'm not a very patient man, but we have to be actually very hard-working people. We have to keep on going. We have to encourage each other. We have to help each other. We have to find ways to make this fun, interesting, and admirable. Because the one thing that everybody does, what happens in all the protests? The government, the police, and all the government institutions start talking about mob. This is the mob. These are just bad people who are crawling up walls and throwing stones at the government, and they don't want to do any anarchists. They start talking about that. They usually find all the ways to make you look like an idiot. And we gotta turn this around. We gotta be the proper people. We gotta be the respectable people. We gotta look up to them and say, "Excuse me, we are the people who are, funding you."
People in Passa are normal people. It's not.
Yeah, what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They will call you out. They will call you out. They will call you names, and they will tell you that you are, rebels and the mob, and you shouldn't be there. And
it's just not anarchist or something like that. No? Next documentary, hedge funds. Why hedge funds?
Hedge funds.
Mm-hmm. They are more responsible than bankers, or it's the same?
No, I think mainly, if you talk about responsibility, you got to look to your government. They are your protectors. They are the people who you vote for, to ask to protect you. And if somebody gets up with stealing your money, stealing your house, selling the house from you without any interference from the government, you can blame the government. You can't blame, of course you can blame the banks, but still it's more or less the government.
In Iceland we have this Iceland Chamber of Commerce, which is really some lobbyism. 96% of their their proposals went directly through the parliament and and
became
as
laws in
memo,
Iceland.
became as laws. So deregulation of the financial sector is the big problem, and from deregulation you get hedge funds, because the banks have all of this money and they need to lend somebody this money, and then you have the hedge funds.
And also,
they are speculating with this money.
also, if you look at it from the way of just the common people, you know, this is like for the last 10 years in Europe, or 5 or 10 years, it's been a party. You know, there's a lot of people becoming very rich in this party. There's a lot of bubble being made.
Money was flowing.
Money was floating all over the world, and people were making money and bubbles out of absolutely nothing. And all the time, it's like a huge party, and everybody starts fighting, and the cops never come. So what are you going to do? Are you going to blame the cops?
You have money in hedge funds?
No.
You go.
No.
A lot of people have money in hedge
I don't
funds.
have any money, so don't worry.
Hedge funds are.
I spend money.
I would say hedge funds and the way hedge funds are operated are mainly to blame for what has happened. The financial crisis is because of hedge funds. Because hedge funds work in a way like they're always looking for the last idiot in the line. Because the last idiot sits up with the white card and he loses everything. In this case, the last idiot in line was the public. So we lost.
When we will see this new documentary? When it will be ended?
My documentary? Don't know, probably next year or something like that. It's about the pension funds in Iceland and the little other things. And then we are actually making a little documentaries, small things about the Alþingi in Iceland, and the parliament in Iceland did a report about what happened. And that report is very good actually, and it takes on big issues regarding how Iceland is controlled and how the government and the government institutions and all those things are controlled. But nobody actually follows that report. Nobody looks at it today. Everybody talks about it. It was for 10 days. They look, oh, very nice. Now we see what we can do, and then they took the report and put it under the table, and nobody talks about it today. And we're going to try to build a little documentaries about this report and find ways to show people how ridiculous, you know, this has been controlled during the last years in Iceland.
Do you think Spain has something to learn about Iceland experience?
Yeah, we can learn from each other. I think we can learn from each other. I think, you know, if you know, it's a big issue in the European Union or in the European for the European countries if Spain falls, as we call it, because it's such a huge economy in this area. And if it falls down,
but often in reunions, at the end, some people says we have to do like in Iceland.
Yeah, I think what people are saying and when people are pointing towards Iceland is because of those 2 referendums we were speaking about earlier.
And the judging the Prime Minister.
We haven't judged.
We haven't judged him.
He's
been indicted.
He's been indicted.
He's being prosecuted right now. So we should not look too heavily into judging people or indict people or putting them in prison. We should look more for solutions, because the future isn't going to be based on. We aren't going to build the future on this and this person going to prison. Okay, we might feel a little better if they get what they deserve, but we should look into the future. We should build the future, and we should do what people can learn from Iceland is that you can say no and you can get away with it. Nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to collapse. Nothing is going to come down. And the only thing which is going to come down if you say no is perhaps some banker's dream of becoming even richer than he is today.
And one thing you have to realize, and one thing you have to learn, don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. You can do it. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't. And it's the way of learning and everything like that. I believe in my heart that people who broke the law and the people who did wrong things will be prosecuted and they will be sent to jail. But my life is not based on that. My life is based on what can we do for the future? How can we change this so it doesn't happen again? It's all about that. It's not about revenge or being angry anymore. I used to be very angry about these things. I was very angry for the first year, and I demanded some kind of a justice. I demanded, crucifixion or something. It's not particularly right. We need to learn from our greater men that we are, like Mandela and all these people who actually forgave their enemies and said, let's look into the future, let's try to change this in the future. It's the only way we can solve it. But we need to protest, we need to fight, we need to do all the things to make it happen. They are not going to stand aside and just allow us to do this. They're going to fight us. We will have to fight them. So. And everything like that. So in the end, it came up to be, what we're going to do next. And we thought, let's do a documentary about this, personal documentary, because, a lot of people are going to go bankrupt in Iceland, and have become bankrupt.
At the end, have you understood what really happened in
Iceland?
Yeah. And where the money is?
Where the money is?
Yeah.
No.
At first, what did happen and why the economy go down?
I don't know. What can you say happened in Iceland was that we thought, by liberating money and make money flow freely all over Europe from one country to another, we thought we could make everybody's life a lot more beautiful. But in reality, it didn't work like that. And very few got very rich in a very short time. We privatized banks in Iceland to friends and relatives of the government who owned the bank before, and it's the way. That's what happened actually. It has nothing to do with.
Why did you decide to do Maybe I Should Have?
The documentary.
Yeah. Because you were not a man of. It was your first documentary. You worked in theater and.
Yeah, I worked in theater and I was involved in. Yeah, I did some film work in the early years, and I did some film during my profession. But mainly, the reason why we did this documentary is that I have a good friend. Her name is Lilia. She's a woman who used to live in France but lives in Iceland now. She has a big heart for democratic things, and she was a little bit pissed off about the situation in Iceland, and she had a little money, and she decided to put a little money into the film and said, okay, we can do this documentary, let's do it. And also, before that, I was the founder of what we call a civic forum movement in Iceland, which we held these meetings, big meetings where we got politicians to come and the public to have a debate with the politicians. And we formed a political party that got 4 members elected into the parliament. And
you were elected?
No. 4 other people. No, not a natural thing or natural disaster. It's a man-made crisis.
You lost your car. People lost money.
People lost a lot of money. People, mainly people lost their houses, like their flats and stuff, because of the inflation. And Andri can tell you more about that because he specializes in fighting the banks towards loans who had actually risen very high because of this crisis.
But there are no bankers in jail, no?
No, not yet.
And processed?
Prosecuted?
Yeah.
There have been a couple of guys who have been arrested and interrogated, but there has not been issued any indictment yet towards any of the bankers. So we still are waiting for that. But what we think in essence happened to the Icelandic economy and the world economy during this crisis is that people are saying, like Mr. Björgólfur Thor in this film, a lot of money went to money heaven. It just simply disappeared. But this is not quite true, because it's public.
And you ask for responsibilities from the bankers, and what do they demand them? Jail, prison?
What we demand from them?
Yes.
We
giving back the money, or?
Yeah, give back the money, because we are trying to find regulations and laws in Iceland which help us to deny repaying the debt for those people. If they go to prison, they go to prison. If they don't, they don't. That's not the main issue. The main issue is to get justice for all people, for us to being able to live our lives and keep our houses. That's the main issue. If they go to jail, they go to jail. If they don't, they don't. I don't care.
The main issue is to get the people who did some criminality acts or broke the law to pay for that by either going to jail or being prosecuted. But the biggest issue in this is to find ways to get the common people, as we can call them, or the taxpayers, the middle class or the working class in every country, to not to have always been paying for these guys and girls who are.
The reason for this crisis around the world is that those people were creating money out of nothing by buying up companies and revaluing the companies by some bookkeeping tricks, and all of a sudden this company was bought for €1 million, and all of a sudden it was worth €10 million, and then they used this fake price of the company as a collateral and took a loan from the bank for themselves. And the money from the bank was our money, which was being lent to the entrepreneurs, like Mr. Björgulur told. And those are the money, he says, have been going to money heaven. But they didn't go to money heaven, they simply disappeared from our pocket into theirs. So this is the reason for the crisis all over the world. And this is what we are fighting now, to try to prevent this from happening again, because it seems to be, it seems to happen, you know, almost with a 20 years period. We have some kind of a crisis where all your money are being taken and moved into the banks and the rich people.